Namaskarams, everyone. Welcome to VEENAVAADINI's 6th anniversary celebrations. We thank you all for coming today, and we're excited to celebrate our 6th anniversary, and today is day one of our celebrations. But before that, a small introduction about VEENAVAADINI. VEENAVAADINI is a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting traditional Indian art forms, and we began in April 14th of 2020 as an online platform to provide opportunities for Carnatic music students in the intermediate and advanced level. And since then, we have expanded to promote various traditional Indian art forms, including dance and music. Through online and in-person events featuring budding artists and eminent performers in both the US and India, and featuring artists from various countries. So we're really excited to be celebrating our 6th anniversary today, and I would like to thank all the patrons, the gurus for encouraging their students to perform in VEENAVAADINI, all the performers who've performed here, and all the rasikas who've attended all our events, for being part of the VEENAVAADINI family and helping us come this far with 6 years. And we hope to have many more anniversaries in the future. So our event for today, to celebrate day one of our anniversary, will be a lecture demonstration of an insight on Swaravalis seen in publications by Dr. Deepa Arunkumar, who has a PhD in music from Wales University. And so Dr. Deepa Arunkumar has a PhD in music with a focus on Swaravalis, a critical study from Wales University, Chennai. And she has numerous experiences, including previously being an assistant professor of Veena at SAKK College of Music and Fine Arts, Chennai, for 3 years from 2012 to 2015. And then subsequently, she is currently a guest lecturer at Tamil Nadu Jayalalitha Music and Fine Arts University, Chennai. And she's also a teaching faculty for Veena at Arudra Research Foundation Trust, Chennai, and she's also currently an assistant professor at the School of Music and Fine Arts, Wales University, Chennai. She is also the coordinator and felicitator at Kala Sangamam, which is a center for classical arts overseeing examinations and facilitating classical and arts education for the past 12 years. She also teaches to several students in India and abroad, and also to students who are pursuing their bachelor's and master's degrees. So Dr. Deepa Arunkumar is a seasoned Veena musician with over 20 years of training under Dr. Shobana Swaminathan, and she passes on her knowledge to several students in India and abroad. And she's been performing in various venues across South India with her students, and has also been part of various Veena ensembles along with her guru. And she also pursued her PhD under the guidance of Dr. Shobana Swaminathan. So some of her notable performances include being part of a 65 Veena ensemble for Kavasam TV in 2018, and she was also part of the 108 Veena recital at the Madurai Meenakshi Amman Temple on Vijayadashmi for 3 years previously. And she's also an active part of the academic community by presenting her papers at regional conferences and seminars, which have been organized by various universities across India. And in addition to that, she's also an active member of the Indian Music Therapy Association. Some of her awards include recognition from various temples, and she's also received the Change Makers Award from Namaste India magazine. And so her blend of teaching, performing, and scholarly contributions reflect her deep dedication in the art of Veena and classical music. So I would like to thank Dr. Deepa Arunkumar for being the host of today's lecture demonstration today. And so today she will be talking about giving us an insight on Swaravalis as seen in publications. And a short overview of today's topic will be exploring and exposing various swara patterns for better understanding and its significance and application in advanced learning. So we thank you all for coming here today. And before I start, I just want to let you all know that feel free to ask questions. You can drop them in the chat, or you can even unmute yourself at the end of the presentation. And towards the last 10 minutes of the session, we will have a Q&A and also an interactive opportunity for you all to ask questions and take part in the activities. So without further delay, I would like to pass it on to Dr. Deepa Arunkumar to begin today's session.
Thank you so much, Veena. Am I audible now?
Yes. Yes.
At the first beginning, I want to wish everyone a very happy Tamil New Year's Day today. And I take this opportunity to thank Lataji and Veena for giving me this opportunity to do a lecture demonstration on the Swaravalis on this very auspicious day. And I salute my guru, Dr. Shobhana Swaminathan, and the RS Gurukulam through which I am part of, for bringing me this far into the journey, into the musical world. Now getting into, I don't want to spend more time talking, then I'll get into the presentation. Yeah. Okay. So the topic for today is the insight on the Swaravalis seen in the publications. Like we so far have been aware of the term Sarali Varisai, Janta Varisai, and all those things. For many of you, the term Swaravalis could be something new that they wouldn't have heard before. So let me begin with what the Swaravali actually is. So Avali is, which is the second half of the word term Swaravali, means a sequence. It could be any sequence of, it represents a sequence or a row or an arrangement. That is what is the meaning of Avali is. So Swaravalis, as the name suggests, it's the sequence or the arrangement of the swaras. That is what is called the Swaravalis. So the Swaravalis that we see in the musical journey, when we learn music, we have a certain set of varisais, we call generally in Tamil, those are called varisais, right? So those varisais are referred in together as a bunch as Swaravalis, like Sarali Varisai, Janta Varisai, and the sthai varisais, the upper sthai, lower sthai, dhatu varisai, and the alankarams. The part until which there is no sahityam involved is what we refer as, or is called as Swaravalis. So the demonstration or the feature of this presentation is to dig deep into what are all the Swaravalis that are seen in the publications, right from the first publication in the year 1854. Okay, so this is the set of Swaravalis that we see in Kalpita Sangeetam. Kalpita Sangeetam is a Sangeetam that we learn from our Guru. That is what is called Kalpita Sangeetam. So that is the fundamental concept of, fundamental lessons that we begin with in our musical journey, which focuses more on the Shruti and the Laya. So Shruti Mata, Laya Pita is the concept of music, right? Carnatic music. So the varisais that we can learn in the Kalpita Sangeetam, the Swaravalis, focus more on the Shruti and Laya, which include the Sarali Varisai, Janta Varisai, Dhatu Varisai, Sthai, and the Alankarams. So we all know that this is the varisais have been, the Kalpita Sangeetam has been formulated by Saint Purandara Dasa, right? So that is the sequence with which the Swaravalis are understood or presented to the students to master the Shruti and the Laya part of it. So earlier there was a system called the Gurukula system where the teacher used to teach orally, and if at all there was any need, the students had to write it down on their own about what are all the lessons that they had learned, irrespective of whether it is a Swaravali or a Kirti or whatever that they learned from the Guru. So there wasn't any need for any publications, or there wasn't any book for them to substantiate or to take note of it or to refer to later on. But later on in down the lane, the first publication was published in the year 1854, which is the Sangeeta Sarvartha Sagara Sangramu. That is the first publication that was published in the year 1854 by Ramanuja, Veena Ramanujaya. So, but still, I mean, though it was published in 1854, the practice that the general practice that we have today, mostly worldwide, is used by using the book Ganamrita Bodhini Bimajapakesayat, which was published in the year 1955. So that was kind of a one benchmark kind of a thing that universally everyone around the world was making use of that book, and the very size that was given in that book was what is being taught or learned. So generally, that book is, I would say, as a capsule for what are all the varices that was mentioned in the publications, because the publications had enormous varieties of swara patterns. So that to begin with all those time constraints, with all those academic time bound and all those things, Ganamrita Bodhini has given it in a nutshell with all the possibilities of swara varieties, which is seen in a logical order. As you see, the next, the graph here shows the logical sequence or the logical order in which the varices in the Ganamrita Bodhini is being given. So each varisai has a new swara that is getting introduced. In the second varisai, you'll have sari, sari, sarigama. In the third, you have sariga, sariga, sari. In the fourth, you have sarigama, all the four. And in the fifth, you have a small karve getting introduced. And in the seventh and eighth and ninth, you have the da, ni, nishadam getting introduced. And then there is a zik up and down varisais. And then janta varisais. And at the end, towards the end of the sarali varisai, you have an introduction into the janta varisai, which signifies that the next lesson that you're going to learn is janta varisai, right? So there is a sequence, there's a logical order in which the Ganamrita Bodhini has given the varisais, which is a nutshell of what are all the other possible public Swaravalis seen in the publications, because it is so exhaustive. If you want to learn all those things with the time bound, it would be very difficult for the students also to understand that. So he has given it in a nutshell, as in a capsule way, to understand that these are all the possible varieties that you would find in the varisais. So now coming back to the first publication, the Sangeeta Sarvartha Sagara Sangramu, it has 20 varisais. It has 20 varisais in it. And the interesting part is the author has given sahityam for each of the varisais. And interestingly, the Arohanam Krama, the ascending sequence, will have the sahityam on Lord Rama, and the descending sahityam will be on Lord Krishna. And the author has given it in 2 speeds, and 2 speeds has different sahityam. It's not that with the same sahityam you sing in 2 speeds. The 2 speeds has different sahityam. And interestingly, there are so many other things where the varisai, generally the varisais we see are in even numbers, right? Either it is 2 or 4. But here, interestingly, it is in 5. Sarigama pada, sarigama pamadapa, sanirisa sanidapa, sanidapa danisa, sanidapa mapa gamma, sanidapa magarisa. So there are certain varisais which has some distinct what do you call distinct notable differences, or distinct notable catchy varisais, like one which has 5 varisais, which we are not aware of. Right? We generally have seen only 2 or 4 varisais. So, and there are varisais where you see the kramam or the sanidapa magarisa, which generally we use at the beginning of the avartanam, usually to end the varisais, is sang in the middle of the avartanam. So such interesting varisais are all being mentioned in the publications earlier. So, and there have been varisais mentioned in Sangeeta Sarvartha Sagaramu, where the 2 varisais can be seen as complementing each other. See, for here you can see Sarigama Papa Gari, Sarigama Gamma Gari. Mapa, mama, gas. So you can see it is complementing, and it's not in one single varisai. They are mentioned it as two separate varisais, complementing each other. And interestingly, the the later part of the varisai seen in the Sangita Sarvata Sagara Sarvamo has multiple charanam kind of a concept. Like there is one varisai, and then there are multiple varisais. And after singing each varisai, you will go back to the first varisai and then as a pallavi. Because since every varisai has has a sahityam, so singing back to the same one. See, for example, the 18th varisai is something. So I have written it down also. That's okay. Yeah. So the first, what do we call as the first varisa is sari gama pa gama pa the nida pama gama pa gama ga. So that's the one that we generally been used in the Gana Mridamuni. That is mentioned. And then subsequently, there is one, each line is mentioned as 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, which says gama pada mada papa magarisa. So there's a sahityam for this. And then after singing this, you go back to again the Sahityam of what is mentioned under Sari Gama Papa, Sari Gama Pa Gama Papa, Gama Pada Nida Pama, Gama Pa Gama Garisa. Again, you come to the next varisai, next mentioned varisai, which is Ma Pada Pada Nida Pa Ma Pada Pa Ma Garisa. That is given as a separate one, subsection of that first varisai. And that is Sahityam for this. After singing this, then you go back to the first one. So this gives a concept of multiple charanams for playing, right? That we generally have see in Divyanama Kirtanams and Utsav Sampradaya Kirtanams. There are multiple charanams. The melody is the same. But after singing each of the charanams, you go back to the Pallavi and sing. So the concept of such things are already been mentioned earlier in the Sarali Varsai for the students to be aware that later on in your musical journey, you will come across such things in your uh, the way of in your learning process. So such kind of all varieties of what do you call insights or all varieties of informations have been given in the publications itself. So the next interesting thing was the Sangeet, because see, there are about 35 to 40 publications, right? But I have taken only the one which are really very distinct and prominent and which is really catchy. But there are so many other publications which have also mentioned Sarali Varsais, which I have not included in the presentations. So the very important one, or I wouldn't say important because each one of the publication is important. The one which really stands apart or uh, really distinct and needs some focus, I've taken it as and presented here. So then Sangeeta Swayam Bodhini. Here, the first time the author, so far we have been dealing with only Mayamala Gaula. The author here also suggests that all the varisais be practiced in other ragam, Shankara Varnam as well. So that is the first time the mention of other ragas other than the Malayamaya Gaula is mentioned. And the varisais have swaras spanning all 3 octaves, and more dhatu prayogas are being used in the varisais in this publication. See, and again, just as we saw varisais with 5 avarthanams, there are varisais which has only 3 avarthanams, like here. Saga, Rima, Gapa, Mada. See, here itself we can see there are dhatu prayogas, more of dhatu prayogas being mentioned in the varisais, which also gives more control over the swarasthanas when you sing, or when you, if you're instrumentalist, that the back and forth usage of your hand becomes very, very easy with such dhatu prayogas. And Oriental European musical notation by Sri Sinasami Mudaliar has 23 varisais. And mostly the varisais are so exhaustive with minor, small variations in the varisais, but still it's you will see, oh, this is, oh, like this. That kind of all kind of varieties of combinations have been mentioned in the Oriental European musical notation. And there are varisais where there is a gentle varisai in the reverse order. So here, as you see, Sarigama Patanisa, Risa Sa Ni Ni Da Da Pa Maga Ma Ni Da Pa Maga Risa. So such kind of a different combinations of swara phrases have also been introduced. And there are combinations of 6, 4, tisram, chatusram, all varieties of combinations, 5 swaras, 6 swaras, 4 swaras have all been introduced in the varisais mentioned in the Oriental European musical notation. And interestingly, in Sangeeta Surabhushani, as I told you before the first time, see the varisais that we see in Ganamrita Bodhini has the varisai as one avartanam, Gama Ga Magarisa, Gama Ga Maga, that Gama Ga Magarisa, right? That is mentioned as a Chatusra Gati. Gama Ga Magarisa, that's how we sing. But here in Sangeeta Surabhushani, they have given it as a Tisram and Kandagat. And he has mentioned it that way because there is an hyphen also in the publication which suggests that he specifically wanted to be Gamapa Gamagarisa. It's not Gamapa Magarisa. So because since there is a hyphen in between, it separates the phrase into a Tisram and a Kantan Gati. And this Bharata Sangeeta Swayam Bodhini book is actually written by a violinist. So most of the varisais in the publications are reflecting on how a violin or an instrumentalist or basically a violinist would be having or would benefit them. So he has also introduced one more jati. So we have 5 jatis, right? We generally are aware of Tisram, Chatusram, Khandam, Misram and Sankirnam, right? He has introduced one more jati called Sankramam, which has value of 6. And the Sankirna jati, he is referring it as Divya Sankirna jati. And for all the throughout his book, he refers the Arohanam, Avrohanam as Anulomam and Pratilomam. So he has used these new terminologies in his book. Okay, the one is the new jati and the Sankirna jati, he refers it as Divya Sankirna jati, and the Anulomam and Pratilomam usage instead of Arognam and Avrognam. And interestingly, he makes use of the Grahabedam of Shankarabharanam and suggests the Shankara, Todikal, Hara, and Nata ragas for various varisais. He has given so many varisais for the Gamakas, for various understanding of swara varieties through all these ragas, where you come across different swara varieties, right? Shankarabharanam has a different Rishabham, Todi has a different Gandharam, and all those things. So he has made sure that for a violinist or for an instrumentalist, such different varieties, swara varieties, needs to be practiced at the very beginning itself, at the beginning level itself. And here for him, the usual upper side varisais that we have it in practice now is mentioned in the Sarli varisai itself. And interestingly, one of the raga that he suggests for practice is Kanangangi, which is the first raga in the Melakarta raga. 72 Melakarta stream. The first raga in 72 Melakarta stream is Kanakangi, and he suggests that for practice. He suggests that raga for one of the various sections that is given in the Sarli varisais. And interesting, for few of the sections in Sarli varisais, he has given Sahityam, but not on any deities, but on human qualities, how a human should be, like how empathetic he should be, how loving he should be. Such kind of lyrics has been given as Sahityam for the varisais. And the Kandharpa Kalpavalli has 3 editions. And the second edition only has Sahityam. And it has first 10 swaras, 10 varisais, again on Vishnu and Shiva. There is no distinct, like for Aroganam, you have Shiva and Avagunam has Vishnu, and not that kind of concept involved. But there are, the varisais are on the Sahityam is on the Lord Shiva and Vishnu on the 10 varisais. Sangeeta Pradayini is another publication where there are 3 sections. And each section focuses on each swaras. First section focuses on Harsva swaras. Second section focuses on Dhatu swaras. There are so many Dhatu prayogas there. And the third section focuses on the Shruti, sustenance. So the whole Avarthanam, you will have only Sa or Upper Sa or Lower Sajam or Panchamam. So such kind of a focus on Shruti value, Swarasthanam is being highlighted in the third section. And Sangeeta Sudhambuddhi has a maximum number of avartanams, which is 8. And again, there are 24 varisais in Sangeeta Ratnakaram with all possible varieties, dhatu, janta, up and down, zigzag combinations of swaras. Sangeeta Pradama Bodhimini has interesting swara patterns. I would want to put this as a question to the audience to find out what interesting they are finding it. I can give them some time for them to note down the swara patterns, swara varisais, and then let me know what is interesting or what is the pattern that they see in this varisais. So I can give you 2 minutes for people to write it down, to find out, and let me know at the end of the session what is the interesting or the different patterns that they see in this varisai. Okay. Is the time good enough? Yes. So another publication, which is Gana Manjusha, has varisais, and at the end of the Sarli varisai section, the author has suggested to practice that in Akaram, Ikaram, and on the names of gods, sustaining over the all the varisais. The names of the gods are like Vasudeva, Narayana, Govinda, Mahadeva. So these are the names of the gods that he has used to practice in the Sarali varisais. So that in that way, he is not only mastering the students to do it in Akaram, Ikaram to sustain the Srutis, but also suggesting to praise it, to practice along with the names of the gods to also fit the Sahityam aptly onto the varisais. Sangeeta Divya Vidya Darpanamu, the author has given different ragas to practice. Mayamala Gaula, Mohanam, Todi, Shankara Bharnam, and Madhyamavati are the 5 ragas that he suggests, and not the same in different ragas. He is given varisais in different ragas, separate varisais. So that's another interesting thing. It's not that he's asking the Mayamala Gaula to be sung in Shankara Bharnam. It's not that way. He has given a separate varisais for each of the ragas. So that's another interesting point or interesting thing in the publication. Now coming to Janta Varisai again. So again, the Sangeetas, I've written it in a short form, SSS. Sangeetas, what do you call it? What is it? It has about 11 varisais again with sahityams. So the author has mentioned sahityam for all the varisais that he has given. So the varisais here in Janta Varisai also has sahityam. Of the first varisai is on Lord Venkateshwara. Generally, he has given the sahityam on Lord Venkateshwara, and the rest of the 10 varisais are on Dasavatarams. So each of the varisai in the Janta Varisai has sahityam on Dasavataram, and more dhatu prayogangals have been used, and varisai with all possible combinations like sasari, sari, sari, ga, riga, riga, gama, sasari, riga, sari, saga, sariga, rigama, sarigama. Imagine that kind of a practice that you have for all the swaras. You will master. It's like a tongue twister, right? It's like a tongue twister. So for just one sajjam, he has given you all the possible varieties. There is a long note, there is a janta, there is dhatu, there is a straight one. So all possible varieties of swara combinations have been mentioned in one single varisais. And in Oriental European musical notations, the varisais, there are varisais which has no janta swara at all. That is another interesting factor, right? It's mentioned at the janta varisai, but there is no janta swaras. And another interesting thing is, if you see that varisai, different speed is being mentioned in one single avartana. And I would want that also to be taken note, and want any one of the students to try that. That Pama Gama, the underline is the Durita Kalam. So different, it's in one single avarthanam, one single varisai, he has given speeds. So that's another interesting feature. And in Bharata Sangita Swayambodhini, the author has mentioned Shankarabharanam as he suggested Shankarabharanam as the raga for practicing Janta Varisai. And he refers Adithalam in the publication as Chatusra Jati Tirupata Talam, which is what is the name given to the Talam. But instead of representing it as a Chatusra Jati Tirupata Talam, he has mentioned it as Adithalam. And Sangeeta Ratnakaram again has 15 swaras and different swara combinations specified. Sariga, Sariga, Sari, Riga, Sari, Riga, Gama. And the phrases are separated like this, giving an indication of how the combinations can be given. And again in the next, Sari, Riga, Sari, Riga, Gama. See, difference with just 4 notes, see how much of combination of swara, various phrases have been developed. We have just, in the Ganamrita Bodhini or maybe a few other things, we come across only the capsule. Right, and nowadays even students are finding it difficult to even go through that, right? They find it very difficult to even learn those. They take a lot of time to even get that hold of all the varisais that is mentioned, that is in practice today. And Sangeeta Ananda Bodhini, the jati type is mentioned. See how the phrases are separated. That mention is made. Suppose if it is mentioned, if it is separated like Tisram and Khantam, the author specifies it at the beginning of the Varisa, says this Varisa is made of Tisram and Khandam phrases. So that jati type is, he mentions it before the Varisa. And Sangeeta Divya Vidya Darpanam, again the same set of ragas have been prescribed, like we saw, right? Maya Mala Gaula Thodi, Shankarabaranam, Madhimavati Mohanam. The same ragas have been prescribed for Janta Varisai as well. And here in Sangeeta Swara Prastara Sagaramu, Misra Jati combination has been given. This is the first time you see a Misra Jati combination. Can someone find out what is, the arrow has come down. It's not in the right place, but you can very distinctly see where is the Misra combination here, right? So such kind of an interesting Misra Jati, the 7 Misram combination of phrases are mentioned in the Varisais. And there is one more section that he mentions as Vichitra Janta Varisai, where he gives another combination set of Janta Varisais, which specifies more on the Dhatu Prayogas. And here, just to give an example of how Tisra Kantam, Kantam Misram, that's how the phrases are being arranged. Sa, 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 ri, sa, sa, ga, ri, ga. So it is like that, though it is 8 and 8, it is being separated as Tisram and Kandam and Tisram, giving an idea for the students to see not just as a Chatusra Nadai, but also can be split as Tisram and Kandam. So many, even in Varnams, we also see such things, such phrases, right? Where you see it as a Chatusram, but actually when you split it, it can be split into Tisram and Kandam also. And now getting into the Sthayi and Dhatu Varisais. So the first publications which featured the Sthayi Varisai is in the year 1877 in Gayaka Parijatamu. That was the first publication where the Sthayi Varisais were first introduced. Sangeeta Sarvata Sahar Sangmu did not have upper Sthayi Varisais at all. So the first publication was in the year 1877. And you can see a lot of Gati patterns being recognized with respect to Dhatu Varisais and upper Sthayi Varisais. And lower Sthayi Varisais, there is only one publication, 1934 Sangeeta Pratima Bodhini, that specifies lower Sthayi Varisais. And interesting swara combinations here. Riga Maga Rigama, Pamaga Mapadani, ma, pada, pa, ma, gari, sari, ga, ma, pada, nisa. And then sani, the nisa. I mean, that has to be overlapped. I will do that and send it. So the same vari size, lower side vari size is seen in the South Indian music also. So these are the two publications which featured lower side vari size. And I don't see many, it is being taught generally to all the students. But as a Veena player, we insist to do that because for the second string, they have to understand the Swarasthanas in the second string. So we as a Veena player, we insist on the students in the Veena to know the lower sthai verses. And in the Dhatu verses again, Sangita Sarvata Saga Sagmu again had Sahityam for the Dhatu verses as well. And it is mentioned after Sarali verse. There are only 5 verses in that. So the sequence of Sarali verse, Janta verses, Thayu, Dhatu, and Alankarams are not the same in all the publications. Some have it before, some have it later, and some do not have it all. So that the sequence is not the same as we see as it is in practice today. That's one important thing that we see in publications. And Sangeeta Pradayini has 8 varises, which is all spanning of only 2 avartanams, except only one which goes to about 4 avartanams. And there are long notes in Dhatu varise. That's another interesting thing. There are long notes in Dhatu varise. And again, all the 3 sthais, upper sthai, I mean the Mandra sthai, Madhya sthai, and Thara sthai, swaras are being utilized. And you can see one of the varisais has sari, saga, samma, sapa, and goes on, which gives you an idea of how the author has planned it to keep the Swarasthanam perfect, to master the Swarasthanam perfect like this. So sari is okay, saga is also okay. So from ma, then you need to, really get the hold of the Swarasthanam perfect, right? So by such dhatu prayogas, definitely for any, be it a vocalist or an instrumentalist, the Swarasthanam has to be very, very perfect. And the varisais that have been given in the publications are all to masters all those things. Coming to Alankarams, see there the Alankarams, the Saptatala Alankarams, the Matya Thalam, we all know the 7 Thalam are Matya, Dhruva, Triputta, Rupaka, Champa, Atta, and Eka with the varieties of Jati. Matya, Dhruva, and Rupaka are all Chatusra Jati. Triputta Thalam is again Tisra Jati. Jampa Thalam is Misra Jati. Atta Thalam is Khanda Jati. Eka Thalam, of course, is Chatusra Jati. These are all the Saptathala Alankaras that we practice nowadays. But there are certain lakshanas of alankarams that have been mentioned in the book by Sambamurthy sir in South Indian music, which specifies that only Harsva and Dirgha swaras can be present in the alankara and should not have any janta varises and should be within the octave. Like it should be only within the octave and should have 2 halves and should be symmetrical. Like if you have 4 in the ascending, there should be 4 in the descending. And no vakra usage. So these are the lakshanas of an alankaram that he has mentioned in South Indian music. And there are publications which specifically feature the alankarams holding the 7 saptatala alankaras. There are 35 tala alankaras. I guess many of the students would be aware of what the 35 tala alankaras are. The 7 tala alankaras into the 5 jatis would give you 35 alankaras. So there are publications which feature or mention the 35 alankaras, and there are publications which give other alankaras, which is entirely different from the Saptatala alankaras and 35 alankaras. And few publications did not feature alankaras also. So there are certain categories like this that some feature Saptatala alankaras, some have 35 alankaras, some have other alankaras, like apart from the Saptatala alankaras, and some do not feature at all. So coming to the Saptatala Alankaras, Sangeeta Sudambudhi, even in Saptatala Alankaras, the author has made few, I wouldn't say changes, have given a different swara patterns than what we generally see nowadays. Okay. What we are in practice nowadays. See, for example, Sari, this is a Kanta Jat, this is what do you call this? Is Dhruvathalam. The Dhruvathalam is different. Sorry, this is Adathalam, which is not having any karves. This is Adathalam, which doesn't have karva than what we see, right? Sariga, sari, re, gama, gama, sari, gama. This is a Chatusajati Adathalam. Sorry, Khantajati Adathalam, which doesn't feature any long note at all. So they have mentioned Kantathalam, Khantajati Adathalam, but has not given karves, has not made use of any long notes, but made use of only Harshva. So such kind of swara patterns have been seen, which is different from what we are using it right now. So instead of Tisra Jati, they have met Tisra Jati Triputatalam, they have mentioned as Chatusra Jati Triputatalam. So such kind of changes have been made. That's kind of a different swara patterns, different alankarams has mentioned under the Saptatala alankaras. And Gandharva Kalpavali has 2 more Ekatala varieties, apart from the Chatusra Jati, which is Tisram and Kantam. Yeah. And Gana Manjusha has Ekatala mentioned in all the Jati varieties. In Tisram, Chatusram, Kantam, Misram, and Sankirtnam. Tisram has Sariga, Chatusram has Sarigama. And for every note, for every Kantam or every Jati, they've introduced one note to make sure that the Ekatalam is specified in all the Jatis. And Gana Vidya Vinodini has Swara pattern, different Swara pattern for Chatusra Jati, Triputatalam. Okay. And again, in practical course of Carnatic music, 4 more Chatusra Jati has been added. So wherein with the use of long notes. So the first one will be Sarigama. The second variety will be Sariga. So the Gandharam is long. The second one is Sariga. The Rishabham is long. And the next one is Sariga, wherein the Chajam is a long note. So such kind of different swara patterns are also being introduced or being specified in the book. Okay. In Gana Vidya Bodhini, Chasura Jati Tripatatalam has been given as Sarigari, Sarigama, and not as seen in the earlier in Sangeeta Sudambudhi, the Chatusra Jati Tripatatalam is mentioned as Sarigama, Garigama. But here the author has made a small difference, saying and mentioning it as Sarigari, Sarigama. So such small variations in the swara patterns constitute to a different possible phrases, combinations that can be used within the 3 swaras or 4 swaras. In 35 Tala Alankarams, Professor Samamurthy has mentioned the names of all the 35 in his book, South Indian Music. And Oriental European musical notation is very interesting in mentioning it to Talam as 35 Talams, wherein he gives 2 varieties for some Talams, from some Alankarams, two different combinations of patterns in the Alankarams. One would be using the karvais with long notes. One would be with just simple with single notes. I mean, Harshva Swaras. So such kind of a exhaustive combination of swara varieties can be seen in Oriental European musical notations. I mean, I think almost, I don't have the exact number. Like, for example, you can see Mr. Jati Dhruvathalam has 2 varieties. Mr. Jati Mattiyathalam has 2 varieties. Khanda Jati Dhruvathalam has 2 varieties. And Mattiyam also. Khanda Jati Rupakam has 2 varieties. Khanda Jati Champathalam has 2 varieties. So almost all the Jati has 2 varieties. So close to about 50 to 55 different sets of alankarams can be seen in Oriental European musical notation given by Sri Chinnaswamy Mudaliar. And then Sangeeta Surabhushini, the Chatusra Jati Tripatatalam begins with a dhatu usage. Samagari Sarigama. Okay. So see the Lakshana, we saw that in the Lakshanas by Professor Ramamurthy that should not be no Vakra usage. But the publication, this is much before than the South Indian music publication. the beginning of the alankaram starts with the dhatu, with samagari sarigama. And Sangeeta Swara Prastaram has more Dhatu Prayagas in his Alankaram and also Janta Swaras been seen. Different Swara patterns, like you have Janta, I mean, dual notes, you have Tisram combinations, you have Chatusram combinations, you have Kantam combinations. So much of exhaustive combination of Swara varieties are seen in the Alankarams here. Yeah, and Tisra Jati Dhruva Thalam, you can see the pattern going as Sariga Garisa. It's coming down and then it goes as Sarigama. So that's such kind of simple. So it's easy to understand also, right? So that's such kind of a usage of swaras are also seen in the Alankarams. And Sangeeta Pradama Bodhini suggests different ragas for different talams. For Dhruva Talam, the author has mentioned Mayamala Gaula, Madhya Talam, Hanumattodi, Rupakam, Shankarabarnam. For Jampatalam, he has given Mecha Kalyani. And for Tripatatalam, Nata Bhairavi, Hari Kambodhi. And you can see Chakravaham. So that is another new ragam that has been prescribed, or new ragam. It's the first time Chakravaham has been introduced into the practice with the Ekatalam. And publications which has other alankarams, like I said, Sangeeta Swayambodhini has 11 alankarams, wherein the Kanta Jati Atatalam is seen without karves. Tissa Triputatalam is written as Triputa Chaputalam. See, the Misra Jati and Kanta Jati can also be, the Triputatalam can be referred as, or can be also taken as a Misra Chaputalam, right? The same 7 counts. Atatalam, wherein the lagu of 5 count can also be taken, can be used as a Kanta Chapu, like Takita. So the 5 count seen in the Kanta Jati, which is the 5 number, can also be done as a Kanta Chapu, Takita. Same way, the Triputatalam can also be referred as Chaputalam, Mr. Chapu. Right? So interestingly, here the author has mentioned the Tisra Triputatalam as Triputa Chaputalam. And for Adi Thalam, the author has given 2 ragas to practice. One is Karahara Priya, the other one is Kambodhi. See, one is a Sampurna Ragam, the other one is a Jani Ragam. And Rupakatalam again, he has given Thodi and Bhairavi. Kambodhi is also Bhashanga Ragam. Bhairavi is also Bhashanga Ragam. See the interesting combination of ragas that the authors have given. Atatalam, Kalyani. And Bharata Sangeeta Swayambodhini, again different ragas for Alankarams have been given. Hari Kambodhi, Karahara Priya, Anumattodi, Mecha Kalyani, Chakravaham, Kiravani and Shankarabarnam. So these are all the ragas that he's prescribing for the practice practice those Alankarams. And again, 8 varieties of Ekatalam is given with several combinations, like with karves in all the places, all the 4 swaras. And in Sangeeta Bala Vidya Bodhini, there is a new alankaram called Vijati Spurita Swara, which is like Spuritam is basically one of the gamakhas that is very, very predominant in Veena. So if you see that alankaram, Sari, Riga, Gama, Ma, Pa, Pa, Da, Dani, Nisa. So if when you play, Spuritam, I mean, as I'm a Veena artist, I'm referring it to the Chanta Prayogam in Veena. So it becomes a very, very, very nice to see such kind of alankarams, right? Sari, Riga. You stress upon the second note where you give the where you get that second note enhancement more. The nadam of the second note gets more enhanced, right? That is the Spuritam speciality. So such kind of alankarams are very, very unique. And Devara Surapan has few more alankarams other than the one which is specified, which if you can see the different ragas that has been prescribed, Suddha Thodi, Mohanam, Suddha Saveri, Madhyamavati, Kuntala Varali, Nagaswarali, Mandhari, Vasanta, Bhupalam, Hamsadvani, and Sriranjani. See, these are all the ragas that the author has specified. And he has also given the Aroganam of each raga before starting the verses. And the alankarams are not all in Sampurna Ragam. Some are in Audava Ragam, Audava combination, Audava Shadava combinations. So which is very, very difficult to compose, right? With Sampurnam, you can do it very easily. You go and symmetrically you can get it down. But with Audava also, because both are in 5-note categories. But Audava Shadava, on the way it is 5. While coming down in the Arohana Avaroha Kramam, it is Shadavam, 6 notes. So you have to be very, very, mastering into that kind of a compositions or composing such kind of a combinations of swaras, wherein ascending you have Audava swaras, Audavam concept, and while coming down, while in the Avarohanam, you focus on Shadavam. And Sangeeta Vidya Bodhana has another interesting. Hatha Kamberi is one of the ragam that they has mentioned for Atatala, wherein you have the Satchuti Daivatam, and Gayaka Piriya for Ekatalam. So such very, very interesting and variety of raga introductions have been given in Alankarams for the students to practice. Such, if you can see, such ragas have not been prescribed in Sarali website. It's towards the end of the Swaravalis, which is Alankarams that the authors have prescribed all such varieties of ragas. And few publications have not featured any Alankaram at all. Now coming to what we take away from all these Swaravalis. So we have exhaustive combination of swaras. Since the lack of time, I've touched upon the basic or important or prominent distinct features. So there are extensive gati patterns, different ragas like Vakra Ragam, Varja Ragam, Rakti Ragam, Sampurna Ragam, Audava Ragam, Shadava Ragam, all varieties of ragas have come in. Right? Wherein you understand the gamakas, the various swara varieties. Each one of them, raga has different swara varieties. So the gamakas involved in each of the swaras can be very well understood at the very beginning level itself. Exhaustive introduction of swara variety, different swara varieties, swara patterns, multiple charanam concept, and the sahityam that has been, sahityam usage. There are very varisais which gives you so much of control over Shruti and the Thalam. And such things can, when you go back, see at the beginning of the learning process, all these might be too much overwhelming for a student to understand. So after learning to some extent, maybe 3-4 years of learning, if you go back to these fundamentals, of varisais, the understanding will be much better. Maybe at the beginning of the learning journey, it might be very overwhelming right now with the current state of fast-moving world that we are in. We want everything very fast food kind of a thing. So this could be very, very overwhelming. But when you come back after years of learning, after 4 years or 5 years of learning, when you've understood some concepts, the basic concepts of Shruti and Laya, and really are getting into the Kriti level or the Manodharmam level, if you go back to all the basics, the foundations, such publications, such exhaustive swara varieties and publications will throw immense light onto the kind of varieties that we have been given by our ancestors. Everything is there. Everything, you name it, you'll get it in the publications. It's such a treasure that we have in our publications. So when you go back to the foundations, then you will really understand and cherish. Actually, I would say the word cherish, to see how much of what do you call it? In Tamil they say Dirgadarsi. They have foreseen so much of, and then given to us, and we are very, very fortunate and lucky to have such thing in print publications. See, sometimes if you have it in orally, there could be a deviation. There could be one can hear something and then write something, and then it might get diluted. But we have it everything in print. So which is an authority for us. Everything is there. You name it, you will get it from the publications. That's how the Swaravalis are in the publications, which is very, very, very cherishable. We have to be cherishing all those things. We have to be very blessed to have such publications, such authors, such composers, such Vagyakaras who have given us such exhaustive swara patterns in Swaravalis. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I thank Lataji and Veena for giving me this wonderful opportunity on this Tamil New Year's Day. Thank you. I can stop sharing?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much for this presentation, and it was very informative for us, and we're really happy to feature such an important educational session on our 6th anniversary. And so now, for the next, like, say, 10 minutes, we'll be having a short Q&A session, and also, like, if you had any answers to those interactive questions, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself now, or you could put them in the chat. But just to kick off the Q&A time, I'm going to begin with a question of mine. And so like you were mentioning, singing Swaravalis in different patterns, sorry, not patterns, ragams. So, like, for example, if you're singing like a 5-note ragam, like Mohanam Sarigapa Dasa, how could students like possibly use whatever is in Ganamrita Bodhini, or like find other publications where this has been addressed, like singing varisays in different patterns? Like, for example, Mohanam doesn't have ma, and then doesn't have ni. So
they have mentioned the varisays.
Right.
They have mentioned the varisays. Full set, they have given the full set.
Nice. Okay.
They have given the full set. I am actually trying to compile everything. I am in the process. It's almost 3 years since I finished my PhD. I'm still in the process of compiling everything into one single. What do you call? My guru wanted me to do that. Dr. Shobana Swaminathan, she wanted me to do that, to compile all the varisays into one book and publish it. I'm still in the process. Then you can imagine. Of course, I'm not devoted fully into that, but still, such an exhaustive thing is. The combinations are there, so it's still in the process, but it's there. The whole varisays is mentioned. So Madhyamavati, all the Audava ragas, as I said, Audavam is okay for to some extent, but Audavam and Chadavam, you have to keep in mind that while coming down, while in the Avarohana Kramam, you have to have 6, right? 6 notes. So such things they have mentioned they have given the varisays. It's not. It is not like they've thrown it to us and then you develop. They have given it. So that's what I said. They have all given us in the plate.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a really helpful resource for students. So it's nice that there are things like that to explore. But we see a question, so I will let the others ask questions now.
Someone is.
Yes.
Yeah. May I ask? Yeah. So thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you, Veena and Lata, for arranging this. This has been one of the most informative sessions that I've ever attended. Okay. So my question was, you said in this Sangeeta Pratama some Bodhini, okay? Yeah. Different ragas are given for different varisays. Any particular reason I want to know? Because singing this Swara Sallai Varsai in Todi, in particular, I have found it very hard because they say, practicing it in different speeds with the gamakams is very hard. But singing as plain notes is not at all Todi. So why is this given, and how?
I don't know why the reason that they have mentioned. They have not given any reason as such. I think so, but they have mentioned this maybe. As I said, they had used the Grahabedam concept of the Shankarahal Todi and then derived into made use of Todi as well. I'm not sure about why, what was the reason behind. The only thing that I can think of, because the other ragas that they have given is also on the concept of Grahabedam from Shankara, right? So that is one of the reason I perceive that could be the reason for using Todi or making suggesting Todi as one of the raga, because as you said, it is very difficult. Very difficult to get the Gandharam perfect. Be it in vocal or in instrument, anyway. At least in instruments in Veena, you can see the place. You can pull that gha and the Gandharam and Rishabha, but when you sing in as a vocal and as a violin, it would be really difficult to get that hold of Gandharam there. But I guess that could be the only, that is the reason I see it, but I don't know what the Vagikaras had, or the author has seen that.
And to mention, we will eagerly wait for that publication of yours.
Thank you so much.
After years of learning also, As you said, yeah, it is very overwhelming to learn initially, but to go back now is very interesting because you see that patterns there. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm eagerly looking forward to that book.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Right. So while everyone else is thinking of questions, I had another one. So I think you mentioned that there were specific lettuces for violin and then for veena, like which are
No.
customized.
It's not any
Like,
specific mention of anything for violin or veena.
yeah.
I assumed because the author seemed to be violinist, I thought keeping into mind the violin concept or how to usage the bow in the violin, he had composed the verses, which could be very in advantage for vocalist as well, because the exhaustive swara patterns would also give you the hold on the switch shruti, and also the if you're a veena player, then back and forth going up and down the frets would also give you mastering or the instrument.
Right.
So there was no specific mention about this is for violin, this is for veena.
So, well, in that context, I was wondering if there were any flute vidwans who happened to write lettuces and any publications, since.
I haven't seen. I'm not sure about that.
Right. Okay. Just an idea that there might have been. But yeah.
And
Okay.
as far as I have seen it, because I didn't come across such kind of an information. He could, I mean, a very same person could be flutist as well as violinist as well. But I don't know. As far as I could see only the violinist as.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So my other
anyone
question
who
was, sorry
started,
for
yeah.
taking.
Yeah.
What was the timeline of these publications? First thing, language in which these publications were written, very eager to know. And
Yes.
how were these scriptures? Are they in that Talagari or something, or these are all books? I just
No,
wanted to know.
see, that's a very good question, actually. Most of the publications were in Telugu.
Wow.
Because that time, the time period was the Telugu literature was flourishing with music, right? So that was the time frame. But later we had Tamil as well. But I, as part of my thesis, I limited only to Tamil, Telugu, and English. There could be publications in Kannada as well. And the time frame that I took was from 1854, which is the first publication, till about 2000 or something. Because mostly after 2000, it is more, some of them have come up with their own varicise. Some gurus, some schools have published their own varicise. So then it becomes a deviation from a generalization, right? So I stuck to only from 1854 till about 2000, where it was generally in use by people most commonly. So that was the limitation I took. And as you asked, the languages mostly are in Telugu. The languages of the public books were in Telugu, and somewhere in Tamil, somewhere in English.
And were they in the form
No, it
of
was
book?
in the book. It was in the book. And interestingly, I would say that my time period where I did my my thesis was during core COVID period. So I did not have the opportunity to go to library in person to explore more. I got everything, all of my publications. I should thank Dr. Professor Ramanathan sir, because his music research library gave me everything. So I took from the online libraries.
Oh, online libraries, is it?
Online libraries. Ramanathan sir has music research library. You can go through it. It's exhaustive with information.
Oh, okay.
And you can get articles there, you can get books there, you can get, there are publications in Sanskrit, old publications. He's collecting all those things. So that because all those 2 years of gathering, the time period where I am supposed to gather the informations outside, I was stuck at home because of COVID. So I couldn't go out in person to the library and search and all those things. So with what I had, I had about 35 books that I referred to. Most of it was in online, except for about maybe I can name 5 or 6 that I had in person. I mean, in hand, hard copy. The rest of them were in soft copy.
Dr. S. Ramanathan, is it? Is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Music Research Library.
Okay. Very well. Thanks, ma'am.
And did anyone come across the pattern?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I found interesting in the first one you were talking about, where it was like, I forgot the exact one.
7 avartanams, the interesting patterns. 7 avartanams.
Yeah, that one. So I found it interesting that like when coming down, it went gari, gamma instead of gamma, gari. Like usually in the verses we see like gamma pa, gamma, gari, sa. But this one it was like like da da pa ma pa da, and it went back up, and then pa pa ma ga ma pa, and then ma ma gari gamma. So it was interesting. Like even when coming down, kind of in the verses, you're kind of going up and then coming down. So it's like you're not just
Okay. That's another perspective.
yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, can I go back to the slide and play that so that
Yeah,
it will be easy for you people to understand?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, this one. So if you
Oh,
see
I
here,
think we're not able to see your screen for some reason.
so I should share right once again. Right. Okay, can you?
Yeah, now we can see it.
Yeah, okay. So now you see in the last, this is the pattern I said, right? So if you see sarigama pada ni, okay? Till then you stop. Then sa ri sa ni da ni, sa ni da pa da, ni da pa ma pa, da pa ma ga ma, pa ma gari ga ma, sa ni da pa ma gari sa. So the varis size or the pattern starts before in the atitam, like it doesn't start at the beginning of the avartanam, and it starts before. So if you first line sarigama pada ni, then sa ri sa ni da ni, sa ni da pada, ni is at the end of the avartanam, ni da pa ma pa. Then da again starts before atitatla, da pa ma ga ma. Then again, pa starts at the end of the avartana. Pa, ma, gari, ga, ma, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, gari, sa.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, to see that just the placement of the dashes can affect
Exactly, the placement.
Yeah.
Yes. So these kind of a thing will help in Manodharmam Kalpanaswarams, if you understand. See, the patterns, we have the patterns as well. And the Edipu.
Right.
See? So in this, at the beginning, if you give this, I mean, for a person or for a student who's at the beginning stage, they may not be able to understand this. But when you come back and then you will understand. So that's what I said. Everything is being given in the platter. It's just that we have to come back after some time, get into deeply involved into Swaravalis, get the hang of it, get the necessary things that you want. Everything is there. It's a warehouse of Swara combinations. It's a warehouse.
Right.
So you pick whatever you want.
That's really interesting. And I think like one important takeaway we can have from this session is that like you don't just see varises as just like for learning Carnatic music in the beginning, but you can basically use it throughout your life. Right? Even
That's the reason I said once you have come across a journey for about 5 or 6 years where you've understood a little bit of what the music is, what the concept of Shruti is, what the concept of Laya, Thalam is, and the different combinations of jatis and gatis involved. And if you see, I mean, Dhatu Varasais, you can see the Prayogamas, Takka, Tam, Takka. The Gati patterns are very well incorporated into the Swara patterns there. So then if you come back to the fundamentals, the foundations, you will have a much more strong hold on the Swarasthanas and the Thalam. You have a very, very good grip on the Thalams. And different ragas prescribed will give you a more, what you call, exhaustive understanding of the gamakas involved in that. It could be very, very minute. As ma'am said, playing or singing thodi plain is very easy. But to get that thodi, you need to put that gamaka into it. Unless you do so, you won't get thodi. So that they have started doing it from the beginning itself. Such exhaustive was the lessons that those days. But due to the time constraints, due to the time shortage or the academic limitations that we have, it is very difficult to incorporate everything in one that time period. So that is why we suggest that you go back to this and then understand.
Wow, really informative. But if anyone else has any questions, you can ask them now. But otherwise, if no one else has anything to ask, we'll probably conclude in the next few minutes. So now's your chance to ask any questions. But in the meanwhile, a little concluding speech. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Deepa Arunkumar for coming here today and presenting her research and giving this great educational resource for VEENAVAADINI community and then the larger Carnatic music community. So thank you so much for this session. And we were really happy to celebrate our 6th anniversary with this lecture demonstration. But we're also having a second day of celebrations. And so tomorrow we'll be having a Carnatic music concert by a group of artists from Germany. So we invite you all to come tomorrow morning for Pacific time, but if you're in India, it would be today evening for you all. So we're looking forward to seeing you for the second half of our celebrations. And also, thank you all for coming today. Thank you to our patrons for helping us make these events possible. And then if you all would like to perform in VEENAVAADINI, you can visit our website, veenavadini.org, and fill out the performance request form, and we would love to feature you in a future event. So thank you for coming today, and I see we don't have any questions. So we will conclude the session today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and at future events.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much.